Morning, dear students. I really welcome back all of you. Happy to be online. And today's class is for class 8. And we are going to discuss a very, very interesting lesson today. In fact, it is a story. So, what exactly is this story about? This story starts with this particular theme. This is a theme. A little mistake can lead to a greater disaster. A little mistake can lead to a greater disaster. It is based on this particular statement that the story that we are going to discuss is. It is all about this. The story is about this. You see, there is a beautiful poem. I remember reading it when I was in the nursery class, For want of a nail, a shoe was lost. For want of a shoe, a horse was lost. For want of a horse, a rider was lost. For want of a rider, a battle was lost. For want of a battle, the kingdom was lost. Starting from the shoe and ending up with the kingdom. What exactly is this? It's a small story. You see, for want of a nail, there was a soldier and he was having a horse. Soldiers, they always kind of ride on the horses and they fight. So, the horses, they have shoes, horseshoe. We call them as horseshoes and they look almost like this, So, every horse has a pair of shoes fixed with nails to its feet so that when they run, their feet don't get damaged. So once what happened, a nail in the shoe of a horse was lost. It was missing. Maybe it came off. But the soldier did not take care of it. The soldier thought, okay, after all, it is a small nail. So if I don't mend it, it's okay. The horse will still be able to run. But as the horse started running, the shoe came off. Because one nail was missing and because of the absence of that nail, the shoe started coming off. And because of the loss of shoe, the horse was not able to move faster or run faster. So the horse had to be thrown away. So want of a nail, the shoe was lost, and for want of a shoe, the horse was lost. Now since the horse was lost, the rider was not able to use the horse and the rider became useless and he was kind of kept away. And because of the rider, the battle was lost. You see, many soldiers come together as a troop and they start fighting. So, due to the absence of one soldier, the battle was lost. If there had been one soldier with a horse, the enemy would have been defeated. But they lost the battle because of the absence of that rider. And then you know what happened? For want of a battle, the kingdom was lost. So, the enemies easily overtook the other army in which there was a rider missing. And because of that, the kingdom was completely lost. So, the enemy king conquered his neighboring army in which there was a soldier missing because of the nail that was required to fix a horse. So the problem started with the nail and it ended up with the loss of a kingdom. A little mistake, missing of a nail, can lead to a great disaster, loss of the kingdom. So we need to keep this in mind. That exactly is the message that we get through this lesson. A small hole can sink a great ship. I suppose most of you would have watched the film Titanic, a very thrilling and an adventurous movie, one of the blockbusters. What is the story? What is Titanic all about? Titanic was a great ship, in fact the biggest in the world at those times, in the year 1912. It was sailing from Southampton to New York. Probably it was the month of April and the year was 1912. And And when the ship was sailing around 1:30 a.m., I may be wrong in the timing, but it was somewhere between 1 and 1:30 a.m., a huge iceberg came and crashed against the ship, and because of that, there was a small hole. So it all started with a small hole, and the hole became bigger and bigger and bigger, and water started gushing in, and finally the ship broke into two pieces and sank. How did it all begin? It all began with a small hole. So there is a beautiful saying, a small hole can sink a great ship. Now we come into the story. There was a king. He was a very, very careless king. This king was enjoying a meal of puffed rice with honey. Puffed rice with honey. And his advisor was sitting along with him. While they were enjoying the meal, a drop of honey just fell down. It fell off the table of the king. So the advisor immediately got up. Your Majesty, the floor has a drop of honey on it. So what we need to do is wipe it off. Shall I do that? The king said, no, don't worry. It is not our problem. There are servants to clean it. They will look after that. Okay. So the advisor sat down once again, and this drop of honey, it began to drip from the windowsill. It fell on the floor, and from the floor it fell onto the windowsill, and from the windowsill it directly fell on the street which was below. The king was having his meal in the balcony, and the drop of honey fell off from the balcony onto the floor. So you know what happened? Immediately a fly, on seeing the drop of honey, came to lick it. So when it started licking, a lizard tried to catch the fly, because lizards are after insects. So the lizard, on seeing the fly, began to chase it and catch it. Now what happened? On seeing the lizard, a cat began to run after him. So there was actually a big chase, The lizard was running and the cat was trying to catch the lizard. And on seeing the cat, a dog began to run after him. Cats and dogs, they are never good in terms. They're always at each other's throat. They're enemies. So what happened? The dog followed the cat, and there was a big chase. Now the advisor saw that from the balcony, and he told the king, "My lord, the cat and dog seems to be involved in a big fight. Should we stop that? Should we make some arrangement so that the fight is stopped?" And the king says, no. After all, it is a cat and a dog. Don't worry. It's not our problem. There are people to take care of that. So the cat and the dog started chasing each other. And the owner of the cat kept watching the fight, and he came and beat the dog with a stick. And the dog began to bark louder and louder. And you know what happened? The dog's owner began to throw stones at the cat. The cat's owner beat the dog, and the dog's owner came out and saw the condition, and he started throwing stones at the cat. Now you know what happened? The dog's owner and the cat's owner began to put up a fight. Both of them started fighting. And unfortunately, the advisor of the king, he saw this and again pleaded the king, "Sir, your majesty, the fight is becoming worse. It seems to be intensifying. Something has to be done. Give me permission so that I can go and stop that." Even now, the foolish king, the careless king said, "Don't worry, it's not our problem. There are people to look after that. There may be soldiers who will involve and stop the fight." And therefore, they were allowed to fight continuously. So, now the friends of the dog's owner and the friends of the cat's owner came together. So, the friends of the dog's owner started attacking the friends of the cat's owner. So, now there are two groups. The fight started between the cat and the dog, and now both the owners after that started fighting. Now the supporters of both the owners, they have formed themselves. They formed themselves into two groups and they started fighting. Now the fight seems to be taking a worse shape. And you know what happened? The soldiers had to intervene because the fight was at its worst. They were taking sticks, they were taking stones, throwing at each other, and all kinds of weapons, abuses, insults. So the situation was getting out of control. And the soldiers got involved. They started separating both the groups because a civil war had begun. So the supporters of the cat and the supporters of the dog, they formed themselves into two groups, and you know what happened? They started fighting. The fighting became worse. The soldiers involved, and finally it turned out to be a civil war. And when the war was at its height, the king and the advisor came. They came and stood and watched the scene, and they understood the situation was out of control. And now finally the king realizes it was all because of a drop of honey. If that drop of honey had been wiped out in the beginning itself, a civil war would not have broken. There wouldn't have been a war like this. It was all because of my carelessness. It was all because of my negligence. It was all because of my delay. So, never, never, never leave a small mistake uncared for. When you feel that there is a small mistake which has been committed by you, try to root it out absolutely. Try to act on that. And don't postpone things. You see, a stitch in time saves 9. There is a beautiful proverb. You're wearing a shirt or maybe a pant. There is a small hole in that. And you say, oh, it's after all a small hole. Why to kind of stitch it? I'll stitch it when the hole becomes bigger. If you have that attitude, the cloth would develop the kind of tear. And the tear would become bigger and bigger. And a point of time would come when the shirt or the pant is of no use. You have to discard it. So a stitch in time saves 9. Act immediately when you feel that something is wrong. Don't wait for somebody to come and act. Don't try to kind of wait for an auspicious time. Then and there. Procrastination is the thief of time. Shakespeare had said this in one of his plays. Procrastination is the thief of time. What is procrastination? Postponement. What is postponement? Delaying things. Which has to be done now. Has to be done now. And if you're going to postpone, you will pay for that. It will steal your time. Delaying always steals the time, and you will never be successful in mending the situation if you are delaying. For example, your teachers give you homework. I can give lots of examples for this. Your teacher is giving you homework. Okay, I have to do the homework today itself because it is meant for today. So you have to do that. No, I'll do this homework tomorrow together. Then there is a burden. So the homework heaps and heaps and heaps upon, and a time will come when you won't be able to submit your assignment or homework in time. Why? Because of your delay. Because of your procrastination. A little mistake. That will lead to a great disaster. Tomorrow, not today. Lazy people always say. Another beautiful proverb. What do the lazy people say? They say tomorrow, not today. They will postpone things, and the tomorrow will never come. Remember, tomorrow never comes. What you have in your hand is today. There's a beautiful saying again. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow will be a mystery. Today is reality. What happened yesterday? It is a past event. It's not going to come back. Tomorrow, you do not know what will happen to you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a mystery. But what is the reality? Today is the reality. So you have to do things then and there. Never delay. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Again, a beautiful proverb. There are so many proverbs related to this lesson. Do it now. When you find that some bad habit is creeping into you, this is very important, root it out then and there, because bad habits begin to multiply very fast. Good things take time to multiply, but bad things take a little time to multiply. Bad friends, bad book, bad food habits, bad clothes, anything that is bad has to be rooted out and thrown away then and there. Don't wait. Don't think of others. Oh, if I'm not kind of in the company of my friends, they will be dissatisfied. My friends are involved in doing something bad and I have to give them company. If I don't, they will not help me, or they will mock at me. They'll make fun of me. No. I don't bother about what others say and what others do. I have to kind of do things for my progress. And if I find something which is hindering my progress, if I find something which is drawing me back from my progress, I have to root it out then and there. So that exactly is the message of this lesson. It's a very, very simple and a beautiful story. It is all in pictures, the very first lesson. So read the story. With the help of the pictures, you'll enjoy it, and I will give you some questions. You will try to answer them. So I hope the lesson is clear, but the message is more important than the story. Story is for amusement, but the message behind it is very, very serious and very, very important. So we will end the class with this. Till we meet again, stay safe and a good day.